What's up, Sergeant Grass? How you doing, buddy? Hoping Turner shows up in here. I forgot to text him, tell him I was gonna go live for him. Let's try to. Fuck, that's heavy. God bless it. Absolutely, Julie. You can ask away. So we're tired and hungry. All right. I mean, the hungry bit's easy to take care of. The sore and tired, not so much. What's up, Trudge? How you doing? How you doing? Oh my, oh my. So I told you guys last night um, that I'd pop in and do a quick live so that Turner can get the basics on a bandsaw. I need to tighten that roller a little bit. Oh, mine tracks towards the front, but it's all right. I'd really like it to track towards the back, but there's the Turner. Hey, no problem, Miss F. Go ahead, ask away. You got questions? I got answers. And if I don't have the answer, I'll make up some bullshit and you'll think it was the right answer. Oh, got you, Turner. I got you. All right, so I'm not going to adjust this right now. I really should. Well, it doesn't take but a minute to set that up. So let me adjust that real quick. Let's see, what does this take? Not that one. What's up, Runic? How you doing, bud? Thanks for popping in, man. Didn't expect this many of you guys to show up. Goodness. All right, there's that one. Of course, that one's a different size. Why would it be the same size? 42? Exactly. Oh, there we go. Hey, Steve, how you doing, bud? Man, you got the whole crew up in here today. Oh, wrong size. I don't know. Once I find the right size, I'll adjust this thing. Let's give that a shot. I'm just barely on it. That might be a little too tight. Is there one way over there? Wow. Better, you just woke up. Goodness. Man, this thing vibrates a lot to start off. Oh, my little cooler blocks are. Meaning of life. Oh. So, if you guys don't know, so my particular saw, I don't have bearings on the bottom here underneath the table. Up here I have bearings that ride the blade. Down here I have these little blocks. And then there's a bearing in the back side, but oh, she's a tight bearing. She needs to get cleaned up or replaced. Man, she's got some vibration to her. Yeah, these bearings are probably a little too tight, but we'll run with it for now. So, Turner, my blade that I have on here is... Oh, goodness, I don't remember what blade I have on here. I've got a 3/8 blade. So it's not great for doing tight turns. Okay, so let me show you what I was talking about. Oh, that's split. Find a piece of wood that's not blown apart in the middle. Piece of this scrap plywood. Okay, so when you do a tight turn, grab a pencil here. All right, let's just assume that I want to cut, you know, just that little rough circle out. All right. So with this blade, I can't get the blade to curl around that tight circle. So what I have to do is, by the way, guys, Turner just got a bandsaw, so I'm trying to give him a couple of little pointers. If you guys don't know, he does bait making, and he's gonna start dabbling in wood stuff. So this is your carrier, right? The closer to your wood that you have that, for me, the better the blade is going to track. All right, so I generally keep it all the way up because I usually use it for resawing, which is taking a width of wood, running it through the blade and cutting it in half thickness wise. Yeah, it comes down. It helps. So now the blade has much less deflection down here, where if it's up here, I've got a lot more that it can wander around. All right, so we're going to drop this down. We're not really worried about it too terribly of a clean cut here. So when I told you about making room for the cut, all right, you can... So you can do this, right? You can just notch. Those bearings are too tight. I apologize for the noise, guys. You can cut out pieces like that, right? Or you can do this, and I really hope you guys will be able to see it without blowing out your eardrums. But let's try this here. I have to replace bearings and readjust things, so bear with me here. So if you want to make room in the cut, you just walk the blade over. That is super tight. So you walk the blade over, right? So you come in and then you go, okay, I can't turn anymore. So I'm going to back out a little bit and I'm going to open up the cut. I'm going to take some more off the edge. And then it gives you a little bit more room and you can come forward a little bit and then you can back up, trim that opening a little bit more, right? So you're basically making it twice as thick as the blade instead of the initial cut. And that gives you more room to work around without having to cut out a section. Okay. Yeah, don't force it. If you force it, with the thin blades, especially ones like on that saw, what you'll end up doing is you'll twist that blade and you'll rip teeth off. Because that blade that came with that saw is definitely not a high-end blade. So it's probably not even hardened, if I had to take a guess. We're going to loosen this a little bit. Maybe I can stop it from screaming so much. We'll give it just a little bit of room. I tend to keep mine nice and tight, so that way it holds the blade and it doesn't do this as much, right? Because if the blade can wobble, then that'll translate into the cut. That's really hard on the bearings, but I generally don't care about the noise so much when I'm in here alone. So let's try that. They're just dragging, so I'm not pulling the blade through unless I push in on it. Then I can roll the blade a little bit, right? But I can spin the bearing. We'll see. Maybe that'll be a little quieter. And my bottom bearing. So I've got a bearing in the back here. This one that the blade pushes against, and it rides on that, so it spins this way. There's another one below here, and that bearing is tight. So it's not doing any movement. Yeah, that's what I would do. I would tighten these up. And then down here, I don't know how yours is set up, but down here, all right, I don't have the double bearings here. I've got these little like plastic blocks. So you push them in just enough so they're touching the blade. You don't want them to drag because they're just like plastic or some kind of a poly thing, right? So you don't want them to burn and you don't want them to bog the motor down. They're just there to basically stop the bottom of the blade from doing this, right? How to lose a finger in 2 easy steps. Yeah. All right. So let's see if I can tighten that. See if we can do this again so you can see what I meant exactly. All right. Give me 1 second. Let's see if this is a little quieter for you guys. All right. So we're going to come in. We're going to go as far as it'll let us go. And I can't make that turn anymore. So I'm going to back out. I'm going to open that up a little bit. And then I'm going to continue around. And you're just working the blade. I bound that up. The blade's bigger than I thought. So you're just giving yourself room to get that blade to turn. Right? So you're just giving yourself room to get that blade to turn. Now this is a really thick blade, but for doing a tight turn like that. Why is my blade not on the big bearing? Because the blade walked forward. The blade walked forward on my wheel. I gotta readjust. But yeah, see, I'm riding on the front. I need it to be riding in the middle. Or I could just pull the roller forward, but also I think my top wheel is bent. Yeah, you can do that too. You can definitely just cut a piece out, chop it off. Cut a piece out, chop it off, like I did up here. Right? That's definitely fine. I will do both. If I'm trying to save material for something, I'll just keep working it open a little bit to get around. Like I said, this is a 3/8 inch blade. It's a little too big for doing this proper, this small of a circle. But in the instructions that I told you to read, will tell you all about getting this stuff set up proper, right? And yeah, I think my top wheel's bent. I think that's why it shakes. Yeah, I think this top wheel it's either bent or the bearing's shot on it. Something's going on there. Oh, hey, look. I have all these destructions right here. Sorry. My bearings are not supposed to touch my blade. I let them touch. And then I can't remember what else I wanted to point out to you. Now, this saw is obviously going to be different than your saw, but a bandsaw is a bandsaw. Some just have more features than others. Yeah, read the instructions. Oh, the fence. Like I was telling you, so you put a fence here. That's great if you're, trying to make the same cut repeated, or you're trying to resaw. A fence is definitely important. But if you're doing work where you're spinning that piece of wood around, put the fence on the floor or on your bench. That's the track that your miter gauge goes in. Miter gauges on this one and on yours are. You can hear that. That's the gauge slopping in the track. The gauges that come with almost every tool that I've ever bought have been garbage. If they had an adjuster on it so you could open it up and fit it to the gauge or to the slot, then you wouldn't have side-to-side slop. Now this one fits a little tighter than even the one on my table saw. I don't know what kind of deflection that is, but it's not much. It might be a degree, a half a degree. But if you're doing, you're just doing rough cuts or something, using this, you can guide your stuff through. I got something on here that catches in my blade track. Oh, because I was tilting it. I had it tilted forward so the front edge was digging in. Yeah, I can't remember what else I was going to say. Nuts. Nuts, I can't remember. The thicker the blade, the thicker the blade. So when I talk about blade thickness, it's from the teeth to the spine, right? From the front to the back of the blade. The thicker the blade, the better it will track. Usually, if you're doing stuff like resawing, so if I wanted to take this board, right, this one that we played with the other day, and I wanted to make it, I wanted to take off a 1/4 inch sliver, I'd set up my fence, I'd get my blade carriage height to above my piece of wood, so I'm not going to hit it, and then I'd be able to cut through that, right? Just run it against the fence, and the thicker the blade, the easier it will track straight. The thinner the blade, and it'll start to do this a little bit. Now, so it'll do, it'll like fishtail through the cut. Let me see, maybe I can show you what I mean. Okay, so if you can see those lines, right? So I was cutting it this way. Those lines are what I'm referring to. The blade starts to kind of twist. Now, the thicker the blade, the less likely it'll do that, or the less pronounced it will be. Now, when you're doing something really long, obviously I just free-handed it, so part of that's me. But if you're doing something really long and you only want to cut this much material off, now you have to account for finishing this side. So you're going to have to sand it, plane it, whatever you need to do to make it smooth so it matches, right? In your world, that's probably not going to matter so much because you you probably won't be doing that kind of thing. But that would be more for like, I want to do an inlay, and I need a really thin piece of wood to do it. I can do it on the table saw, but I'm going to lose 1/8 of an inch of material. So I might only get, and it's dangerous, I might only get 3 pieces out of this, where on the bandsaw, you can see that's the thickness of my blade kerf there. So I could probably get, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 pieces out of 1 piece. This is hickory, so this is really hard, but yeah. Yeah, thinner bends way better. Yeah, McDouble, brand doesn't matter. What you want to do is you want to look for one that has, like Runic says, you want to look for one that has the features that you want in the price that you can afford, right? It used to be you got what you paid for. Unfortunately, that hasn't been the case for a lot of years now. You can pay a boatload of money for something that is just the same as any Amazon piece of junk you bought. Yeah, apparently. Then again, you can also, spend $150 on an Amazon bandsaw, that's got like a 3-inch depth of cut here, and it might have all the features that you could possibly need for whatever your deal is. I am not a believer in buy once, cry once. I think that's the dumbest thing. In most cases, I think that's the dumbest thing anybody's ever said. That's how we get people in woodworking that go, well, I can't do woodworking because I can't afford that $30,000 table saw. And if I'm going to do it, I might as well buy that brand new high-end table saw. Otherwise, there's no point in doing it. I've got a DeWalt table saw over there behind my chair. That thing cost me like $600, I think. It's just a contractor saw, and it does everything that I need it to do. Now, there's things that I want. Like, I want to get a cabinet saw because then you can get the sliding table on the side. It's a whole lot of things that you can do with it, but I don't need it. Right? You can do a lot with basic stuff. Now, what you can also do is look on things like Marketplace, right? I don't know about eBay because shipping a bandsaw is expensive, but yeah, exactly. So with like a bandsaw, the higher the horsepower of the motor you get, and generally it'll be a bigger saw at that point. You can handle bigger blades, which means you can cut more harder materials or thicker materials. Like, you heard this thing, it was crying cutting this piece here. Now this is hickory. It's really hard. And I wasn't being slow. I was just kind of force feeding it, which is not what you want to do. But I was trying to exaggerate these saw marks here. Also, part of that noise is my stuff's not set up proper, and I got to replace bearings. But that's neither here nor there. When, in terms of cheap tools, WEN on Amazon, they have really good tools at an affordable price. Now, are you going to be able to have a full production shop on nothing but WEN tools? Probably not. But if you have a full production shop, you're probably not watching this live. So, or at least you're not on here asking me questions. You know what I mean? You're probably like, I mean, I know Steve from Honey's Handmade. He's got a pretty good production going on. That's his job. But yes, there are different blades. The world of blades is a whole other thing. Like, I've got a bunch of blades here. Like, you can see this one's got carbon hard edges, whatever that means. You got different teeth counts. I don't know if you guys can see those in there, right? Yeah, so here I have like, this is a 1/4 inch blade. Yeah, this is my 1/4 inch blade here. So if I was going to do tight turns and stuff, I'd switch to that blade. And if I'm going to do resawing on any kind of real level, I'd switch to this bigger blade here. That's probably what, 5/16? No. No, that's a full 3/4 or 5/8. I'm sorry, but that's a full 3/4 blade, which is probably the limit for this saw. If you're just cutting, so the blade will last. If you're cutting softwoods like the pines, the cedars, the balsas, those kinds of things, and plexiglass, your blade will last quite a while because you're not really beating up the blade, especially if you get a better quality blade. The thing you'll run into is you got a cheap blade and you went to make a tight turn and the teeth caught and just sheared off. Right? That happened to me a lot with my tabletop version, the one like you have. And I'm sorry, I misspoke a few times. I thought it was a Jet tabletop, but it was a Delta tabletop. Yeah, yeah. There's a power requirements. Like this motor I can rewire it to 220, which I intend to do once I have my power set up out here. And 220 can give you a much more powerful saw in the same package. What is it? It gives you more power, but a more powerful motor, but it draws less amperage, I believe. And I think, what is it on 110? Your peak amperage you want is like 20 amps. So that puts you in like the 15 amp range of tools, which is a good portion of woodworking tools. If you're just starting out, that's like my table saw is 12 amps. This thing, see if it has an amperage on here. This is a 3/4 horse motor. It draws 10 amps on 120 and 5 amps on 220. I'm sorry, yeah. 10 amps on 120, 5 amps on 240. Yeah. Yeah, but the world of blades is going to be the next biggest hurdle for people after they get a little saw, right? So, hey, Cleveland, how you doing, bud? And hi to everybody else who popped in. Yeah, so that's a good point, Trudge. With plexiglass, you do get a lot of melt. You'll get like, instead of the sawdust just blowing away, it'll be like tear out from the wood, right? It'd be kind of like, see if I can get you see that. See how these like this little fiber sticking up. Plexiglass likes to do that across the whole cut because the plexiglass gets hot and then that little stuff kind of sticks and just flips out. It's really easy to take off, but it will gum up. It will gum up blades and stuff. I don't know that you would have to really switch blades. You could probably do it with just a regular, yeah. You could probably just do it with your regular wood blade, but I would do it with a finer tooth count. I don't know. I don't cut plexiglass very often. I usually just suffer through whatever stuff I have. But if you put a piece of tape on it, like blue painter's tape, put a piece of tape on it like you've seen me do with wood when I'm cutting it. I don't have any on this piece here. And then cut through the middle of that tape or whatever you got to do. It helps to protect it and keep it from bonding, I guess, to the top of the plastic. Hey, Dutchman, how you doing, bud? I'm glad you got out to the shop to do something, man. That's great. That's good. You're up up and about. That's awesome. It's honestly probably a lot quicker than I would have got out there. Yeah, you got it. You got to post it up on your channel, or was it just kind of dabble and see how it was going to go for you? Um, there was other stuff that I wanted to say, and I can't remember. There's blade setup. There's different tooth counts, different thicknesses of blades, so you can do different stuff. There's the carriage, right? Oh, marketplace. Somebody was talking about getting tools. Marketplace. Poke around on marketplace too, because you may find that somebody just wants to get rid of this saw, and they posted it up for $100 or something, and you might make out get a great deal. Audio. Did my audio cut out? YouTube needs to get their crap together. Yeah, for sure. Is everything good now? Yes? No? It's scratchy. I'm sorry. All right, there. I came off of Wi-Fi. Maybe it'll be better now. Or I have something stuck in my. Sorry. All right. I apologize, guys. So I don't know if you guys can even hear me, but if you're just starting out or you just want to work your way up, definitely check the secondhand market. You might find that you want to be brand. You might find that you really like Delta tools, and that's just all you want to run. And somebody might have Delta stuff up for sale. Crimson and Clover. Hey, John. So it's not good yet. All right, how's you guys over here? How's that? Is that any better? Swallowed sawdust. Any better or no? Still chunky. I switched back to my Wi-Fi. Man, I don't understand it. I didn't do anything different. If I do that, oh, now my neck's all. The phone holder thing's all bent. Ah. All right. Any better now or no? Because I switched it back off. I turned the audio off. Might just end up killing it. I see the view drop a ton. So maybe I gotta blow out my phone. It's got a bunch of dust in it. And hit resume. All right, give me 1 second. All right. Any better? I was getting. Of course I was. Excuse me. Hey, Landon, how you doing, bud? Awesome. Good. All right. So, secondhand market for tools. Great place to check. Tooth count. I can't remember what it is. What is it? Less teeth for finer cut and on denser woods. More teeth for a more aggressive, faster cut on things like pine, softwoods. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's the way it's supposed to work. More teeth will give you a finer cut, but you have to cut slower. And I think you want more teeth for harder woods as well. But I might be wrong about that. Either way, more teeth for a finer cut, less teeth for a more aggressive, faster cut. The same as like with a table saw. If you got a 12 tooth blade or a 24 tooth blade, you're going to get a rapid cut, but it's going to look like garbage. You put a 60 tooth or a 40 tooth blade on it, you might have to cut a little slower, but it'll look a lot better. Yeah, basswood, poplar. Now you might want to eventually. Man, those are pretty tight. Is it less teeth for hardwood? I don't know. I always use the same damn teeth for everything. Anyway, so I can't think of any real pointers for somebody just starting off with the bandsaw. Pay attention to your carriage. Pay attention to the blade with your fingers, because it will cut you, but it's spinning a lot slower than like a table saw blade is. So it will hurt the entire time you do it. You won't just be like, oh darn, I'm missing a thumb now. You'll know it the entire time. If the blade breaks, things can get pretty hectic. I haven't, knock on wood, I haven't had a blade snap on me yet, but I have had a blade shear all the teeth off. And that was a cheap blade from Amazon. It was like a 10-pack for like $15 of little 59.5-inch blades, and they were, I want to say they were 1/4 inch. They might have been a little skinnier. But I was in some hardwood and I went to do a tighter turn without opening the cut up a little bit, and I sheared teeth right off of it. Yeah, that's the other thing. I've got to adjust mine because I need it to track. So my personal rule of thumb is I want that blade to be in the middle of the wheel. I don't want it to be out towards the end, right? Or all the way back towards the back. I want it to track right in the center of that tire. And for this one, I believe it's just my tension gauge. And then probably pulling my forward bearings back so I can push the blade back. That didn't do anything for me. That has got a lot of tension on it. Yeah, I think my back bearings, top and bottom, are holding me forward, but what brand of bandsaw should you get? Whatever brand you can afford. Brand doesn't matter. We just had that chat. Hey, what's up, Randy? How you doing, bud? Brand is less important than features. There's no point in buying a I don't even know how much. What's a good bandsaw cost you? Like a top end bandsaw. Wait, like 12, 15 grand? There's no point in getting that if you're not going to use it, right? Like, why have a bandsaw that can do this if all you're going to be doing is flat work like this? You can get a scroll saw and do the same thing. A lot cheaper and a lot easier. What's up, Liam? How you doing, bud? Like I said, this one's a rigid. This is the first rigid bandsaw that I've ever had, but it's bigger. It gave me the height that I was looking for. I think I'm around about just over 6 inches here, as opposed to the 2 3/4 that my little benchtop one is. These plates are they're important. You definitely want them. Yeah, that blade or that roller's shot. Good Lord. Oh. I don't know if I'll be able to loosen that up or not. Hey, all right, Runic. Thanks for popping in, man. I appreciate it. These things are replaceable, right? And you definitely want to have it. But you should have a pin that marks, that like indexes it. So if you're going to make one, make sure you notch out for that pin so that this piece doesn't start rolling around on you. And, you know, you can buy them made out of plastic and stuff. A Harbor Freight floor standing model. Yeah. You need to make a new one. Yep. This one, as you can see, somebody's gone pretty crazy on. I mean, this is the one that was in it when I got it. So I'll end up making some new zero clearance ones. You just need something that sits in the groove, right? And you want it to be flush with your table, obviously. Those are definitely wear items. So when your blade turns, you're going to start, you know, if it turns too far, you'll cut into it. It's a wear item. These are things that get replaced all the time. The little tabletop ones, they usually have like a little square plastic one, and you can buy dozens of them on Amazon for next to nothing. And I think that almost all the little tabletop ones have the same insert. And the square ones obviously won't have an index pin. This one's round, so it's got a little roll pin over here. Yeah, nice fences are important for resawing. That little saw that you got, Turner, came with a fence, and that'll probably do you pretty good. What type of planer do I have? I've got a DeWalt 735X over here. I don't use it a whole bunch. It's on that table. This table hasn't been cleaned off yet. Yeah, that little fence you got will probably do you good. I got another fence similar to that one in the house where it clamps to the table. It's not the one that I want. I want one like I have bolt holes here and I have bolt holes back here so that I can put an actual track on. And there's one that I want, but I got to find it for this model because apparently the bolt holes are a different location. So it gives you a rack and pinion. You turn the knob and it'll move the blade or the fence. Yeah. So that's the one I want, where I turn the knob like my table saw and I can move the fence and I can fine tune it. And it's the same on both sides. With the clamp on, then I have to measure from, you know, a known point like this edge here to my fence to make sure that I'm the same distance off. Yeah, see, being brand specific, there's nothing wrong with it. I said I'd check on things like Marketplace and stuff. Like I got this one I got this one on Marketplace because the guy who had it prior needed something bigger, and he got a really big bandsaw for a steel. Um, yeah, I can do a little shop tour. There's not a whole lot going on in here. It's kind of a mess right now because I'm working on cleaning up. But if you want to use a planer, how can I make all the wood the same size so I can clamp them and make a table? Well, a planer. If I send this through the planer, I can turn the planer down so that it takes off that notch, and then I can have one smooth piece again. Now it's going to be like a 1/4 inch, but um, yeah, my shop is a mess, and not from woodworking. I've been cleaning it up. Like I got all the summer stuff out of here. But here I'll do a. So ignore this. This is all sawdust and trash that has to go out. That's some random offcut wood that hasn't been put up yet. There's my garden hose. The beer fridge, toolbox, all my magnetic koozies over there. The planer, bunch of shit that needs to get put away. The Wen track saw, so far so good. Bunch of random wood down there. My little diesel heater. Harbor Freight drill press. I don't need anything bigger than that right now. Little Cobalt Rowdy table. Porter cable 6-inch jointer. I got it on Marketplace for $200. Brand new. Couldn't beat it. Dollar Tree trips. You know, getting stuff like little paint things and brushes or foam brushes. All sorts of things can be found at Dollar Tree. Scrap lumber. It's just a little table I threw back there. There's my lumber rack. Chainsaws and stuff are under there. That stuff's all going to go away. Table saw. There's the laser, or one of the lasers. Some fence pickets because they're required. A grill because, you know, why not? A little bunch of storage there. And the bandsaw. The biggest project I've made in here, in this building, was a coffee table. And it was just a pine coffee table. You know, one of those like farmhouse looking ones. That's what the guy wanted. He just wanted a quick one. I got a video on it. Well, I have the recording. I just have to make it into a video. I've made things as big as a china cabinet. Not here, in the other shop before the roof collapsed, but yeah, there's some places where like planters, elevated planters, like I got a set that I'm doing that's that big, right, with a shelf down here. And I'm gonna make one with a cooler in it, and nobody's selling those around me right now, so that'll be a nice item. But yeah, YouTube is full of videos of like quick little things that people make. Fence pickets, always a winner for that kind of stuff. You know, cedar looks really nice. Yeah, I can make a dining table in here. I can make a dining room table, but it's the only thing that I can make at once. Like if I make a dining room table, I won't be able to have any room to do anything else. So I have to plan those larger jobs ahead of time so that I can get all the smaller stuff out of the way, and then, you know, while the table's doing its thing, I can do laser work or something. Something that's not going to take up a bunch of space. Oh yeah, Liam, Jasco is good. I like Jasco. How I made $1,000 off one 2x4? Yeah. Yeah, some people have all the luck. I don't have any of that luck. Now, I've said it before. People on YouTube aren't selling you. They're not showing you how to make something because it's guaranteed to sell everywhere, right? Every market's different. My market, I can't make a planter box worth a damn that anybody's going to buy. Unless they're already a customer of mine. But some people, they can make planter boxes at a one fence spigot and sell them from now until the end of time. I don't know. But my area, I've got 800 different people on Marketplace right now with planter boxes up for sale. And they're all the same. Now, so what YouTube people are doing is they're selling you a click, right? I don't care what the video is. If it's got a clickbait title, they're selling you a click, right? Anybody. Because they're people on YouTube that are doing that. They're putting out those videos, right? Like, watch me blow up this truck. You know, they're not selling you anything but a click, right? That's how they make money. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you got to keep that in mind. Like, who's the fence picket guy? I can't remember his name offhand. Got a little goatee. Love the guy. He's awesome. He makes like stupid little projects, smalls that sell, things like that. Yeah, they're great ideas, but I'm willing to bet he makes more money off of YouTube than he does in his shop. You know, I don't know that for sure, but there's a lot of people out there that they don't do woodworking anymore. They do tool reviews or they make a project for a video because that'll make them a lot more money a lot quicker than doing a bunch of work. Have I made any money on Marketplace? As a business, I don't have access to Marketplace. But on my personal account, I will sell things on Marketplace from the business. And on occasion, it's fine. But really, people look at Marketplace kind of like a flea market. Matthew Peach, that's his name. Yeah, he's a great guy. Love him. We get tons of ideas from him. And he's helped me look at things differently. Like when I go to Hobby Lobby, you know, I now look at the things that are there differently than I did before. Like I look at it like, how can I make that? And what can I do to make it different than that? Either better or some different in some fashion and bring it to market. No, I didn't laser cut the unicorn yet. I didn't laser cut the unicorn yet. I have a plan for what I want to do for my mom with that unicorn, but I do have it sitting on my laptop right there. But as far as Marketplace, people tend to think of it as like a flea market. So they want they want top end, but they want to pay bottom of the barrel prices for it, you know? So I don't make a ton off of Marketplace. I use it more as an advertisement than anything. Or if I just want to make a bunch of little stupid stuff because I've got some downtime, then I'll post it up on Marketplace on my personal account and see what kind of traction it gets. What brand of beer is my favorite? I vary. Like right now I'm drinking Busch Light and eventually I'll get bored with it and I'll drink Genesee, or I'll get bored with that and I'll switch to Miller High Life. I bounce all over the place. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Like I think there's a lot of people that are getting into woodworking that have the wrong idea. Like they're going to IKEA or something and they're looking at that, I don't know, that cabinet, and they're going, how can I make that but still sell it for $19.99? Where do I sell my items? Usually at little local shows, little local shops. I'll take some to different places. Like the greenhouse up the road. There's a huge greenhouse. They have this separate building, but they'll sell different things from crafters in the area. And I'll take a bunch of stuff up there and put it up like consignment. But for the most part, my orders come from word of mouth. I don't really advertise. I don't really do a whole lot of anything. And I stay fairly busy. Not as busy as I'd like to be, but I stay fairly busy. What's going on, Alan? How you doing, bud? Appreciate you popping in. Now, Marketplace is a great place to start out. Things like Marketplace. But you have to keep in mind that just because you want to sell, I don't know, a cutting board for $200, people on Marketplace are going to be like, I'll give you $100 for it. Right? Yeah, if you're just making stuff to make stuff or making stuff to get your name out there a bit, put it on Marketplace. Yeah, niches are a big thing on Marketplace. Yeah, that you can do that. Like in my area, if I was to put up some planter boxes that look the same as every other planter box out there, I'd probably get 1,000 clicks and no sales. Just because they don't want to buy mine. They have so many options, right? Mine have to be different in some way. And so I make mine different. I'll make, instead of doing wide boards like everybody loves to do and just butting them together, right? And make there's the face of my planter box. I'll do 2-inch strips or 2.5-inch strips, and I'll put a 1/4-inch gap in between them. Something as simple as that makes me sales where I would have lost the sale because of something like price. There's something different about the picture. They'll click on it, and they might be willing to spend more to be different than everyone else. Yeah, that's the other thing. And when you're first starting out, you have to find that price medium, right? There's a lot of people out there, especially in the woodworking community, where I am convinced that they don't actually have a shop. They just are joining these, Facebook groups and stuff to mess people up, right? Like they have, I can't do anything. If I'm not making $100 an hour, it's not worth my time. All right, that's good. Good for you. I hope you can make $100 an hour. But I'm not paying you for 24 hours of glue up time because you determined that that's part of your labor rate. Like, that's not happening, right? Nobody will do that. Unless you're making something like a $30,000 dining room table, you got a little bit of leeway in there, But if you're making a cutting board and you decide that it's now $2,400 plus double your material cost, plus profit, plus overhead added into it, I'll make my own damn cutting board. I don't need to buy yours that's the same size, 12 by 15 for $3,000. It's never going to sell. Absolutely will not sell. So you got to find your product niche. You got to find a price point that you can live with and that the market can support. And if you can only make something like a planter box, right? And you need to sell it at $40 to be able to survive. And everybody around you is selling the same thing for $20. Odds are you're never going to sell that planter box. You should just drop it and move on, find something else, right? Or figure out how to lower your cost. Like, I can tell you in my area, them cedar fence pickets, they cost just shy of $4 a board. Mm-hmm. Yeah, $3.95, I think, is what they cost a board. So that's my bottom barrel of what I'm willing to accept, because I can batch them out quick. I got to throw a little bit on top of it for profit and time and things like that. But if I'm using 3 of them boards, at $4 a piece, that's $12, right? Yeah, $12. And I absolutely have to get out of that box. Plus all the other, sandpaper, wear and tear on machines, glue, nails, screws, whatever you're doing. Yeah. And quality. Quality is a big thing, right? If your quality isn't there, your word of mouth is going to be terrible. All you have in this business, in most things, really, all you have is your perception and your name, right? So if you walk around, you go to meet a client and you're in this, you look like this going to meet a client. I got stains all over this hoodie. It's a lounge around the house, do yard work kind of hoodie, right? I would never go meet a client in this. I'm wearing a clean logoed shirt and I'm looking presentable. That's the first step, right? Look the part. And you got to have, if you're planter box or whatever you're selling, you make a cutting board. And if that cutting board splits right off the bat, or it's busted up, it's got nicks in it, something when you go to deliver it, that person, they may buy it because they feel guilty or they feel obligated. But I guarantee you, they're going to tell 10 people about that cutting board. And those 10 people are not going to buy anything from you. If you can't make a cutting board, how are you going to make a dining room table? Right? And I get a lot of people that'll come here and my shop will be chaos like it is now. And they'll come here to meet me for drawing up a plan for, I have a tabletop gaming table that I have to make, or we're in the design stages for a group. But they won't drop their expectations to meet their budget. So they have to come up with more budget, right? They want this table. And the first time I met the group, I met them here, right? I brought them to my shop and the shop was chaos. If there was sawdust all over the floor, there was bags of sawdust piled up over here, stuff everywhere. And I almost lost that sale. If I didn't know a couple of the guys personally, I would have lost that sale right then. They would have came in, they would have talked to me, they would have left and said that was a waste of our time, and they would have never came back. Right? So now, when I have people come over, I try to keep the shop sort of clean. Right? Or people that come here are already customers of mine. I'd rather pay for dinner somewhere and meet a client than lose the sale based on perception, right? I don't know if that was a whole lot of blabbing to say perception, your word, and your quality. Those are all you have. Your word as a man or woman. If you lie to a customer one time, they're going to tell 10 people that you're a liar. Yeah, it's definitely better to meet them elsewhere. I learned that lesson then because that's a big financial upside to my business would be selling that table and building that table. But I almost lost it. But because I know a couple of the guys in the group managed to save the deal, and they overlooked this. But like right now, I wouldn't bring anybody in here. Look at it. Are you going to buy a $5,000 table off of me looking at this? No. Fuck no, you're not going to buy that off me. Looking like this? How the hell am I going to make a $5,000 table? It's not going to happen. But on the flip side of that, if you're a man of your word, you have a good, like I put a warranty on everything of mine. Everything that I sell as a business has 100% warranty behind it. I will back it myself, right? Because it's my business. And because I do that, and I'm willing to put that much faith into something as small as a cutting board, right? I sell my cutting boards for $75 plus shipping, which equals out to usually about $100. And I sell what I think is a $200 cutting board, and I'm giving it to people for $100 because that is how I get my name out there. It's a way to show quality, craftsmanship, and it's a way to get people to test the waters, right? People are a lot more comfortable coming back to someone who they feel like they just got a deal from and got their money's worth, right? So you got your money's worth and you got something worth the dollars. You're more likely to go back to that person when you want a hutch made or something. Do I give them my number? I absolutely do. In fact, I don't do it so much anymore, but a lot of my shirts have my business number printed right on them. But I got my email address. It's everywhere. Yeah, see, there's some people like that too, Turner. I mean, if you walk into a wood shop and it's spotless, have they even made anything? They have a lot of downtime if their shop is clean. Now, if it's spotless, they must have a lot of downtime, or they they are real anal about cleaning things up. I mean, that's possible too. Can we make a living with this? You can make what you put into it. If you're willing to do the work, you're willing to do the legwork, you're willing to make the sacrifices, you can make a living out of this, right? So my business, I am almost to the point where I can quit my day job. All right. Good, Cleveland. I love hearing that. Thanks, buddy. But I'm not there comfortably yet. Like I'm there financially, but I need a track record of that being there, because the business is up and down, right? Until you get your name out there enough that you have constant business and in fact turning business away, I'm not comfortable just dropping my day job, which is a guaranteed paycheck, right? It covers the bills. So but that's my goal, is to do this full time, be here working all day long. So right now I go to work, I'm at work 10 hours a day. I come home and I work until 11 o'clock at night most nights. Then I go to bed and I get up at 5:30 and I go do my day job. That's pretty much my entire life right now, because I need to put the effort in to make this worth it. Thanks, Matthew. I appreciate that, bud. Now, if you're not willing to make the sacrifices, you'll get out of it what you put into it. You just post one planter box on Marketplace. Maybe you'll make it, maybe you won't. I appreciate that, Landon. I don't know. So this turned out, this was supposed to just be a quick little demo of like basics about bandsaws, but now what I do for my downtime is I'll take downtime. Like right now I've got a little bit of downtime. I made myself downtime because I messed up a lumber order, or I would be working right now. So I took this downtime to get my shop sort of organized for the larger job that I have to do, so that I'm not just piling product on top of, that and hoping that it doesn't fall down and get damaged. Right. And because, I've opened up quite a bit of room in here, and I'm feeling good about it. It's not anywhere near where I want it to be yet, but the build out is coming soon. So, another thing that I do is if I have downtime, I will do stupid little projects. Things like I'll batch out a bunch of cutting boards, because making one cutting board costs me money. Making 10 cutting boards, I can make money off of that, right? But I very rarely get, big orders for cutting boards like that. So what I'll do is I'll typically, when I have enough downtime, I'll batch a bunch out, and I just won't finish them. I'll get them almost there, and then I can do the customizing, with the laser and stuff, and then I can do the final touches on it and deliver it. And it usually speeds up my delivery quite a bit, unless I mess up and miscount, or I damage something and then I have to redo it. But it is what it is. Thanks, Coffee. Can you make live often? Be a coach at this? I can't be a coach at this. I just talk a lot. I'm just a monkey with a camera and some tools. That's basically it. Can I go live often? I go live every Saturday and every Sunday, for the most part. I don't really have the time to do videos as much as I want to, but I'm working on that. So I had a goal to have videos starting in January and be putting out regular videos, but it takes so much time to do this that it's really a lot more than I expected. Especially, having the day job and then doing this stuff and then trying to find time to edit videos. It gets to be a lot. And have a family, things like that. But I go live as often as I can. This was just a random thing. I won't be live for very much longer. How to set up a bandsaw, 100,000 views, right? I really should do something stupid. But I know I'm not the best at this. I don't know the ins and outs of all the machinery that I work with. I just barely make it work. Now, there are people in the chat like Runic and Steve from My Honey's Handmade and I'm sure a bunch of other people here and that were here that know, maybe one guy knows how to set the blade tension proper and another guy has a better way to set the bearings up. There's a lot. There's a lot of room there, I guess. I could do one and then have people put their tips in the comments. Because, setting up a bandsaw, that's just record, run through it, and I shouldn't even have to edit it, really. Just post it, see what happens. Yeah, now that you say it, I don't know that I've ever seen anybody set up a bandsaw. There's 800,000 videos on how to set up a table saw or make a miter gauge or not a miter gauge, how to set up one of those more expensive miter gauges or how to make a table saw sled. Like there's probably millions of videos about that, but I don't think I've seen one about a bandsaw. Out tomorrow, we're going to see a whole bunch of them about bandsaws. Mark my words. There's 18 people in here, and 16 of them are going, no bandsaw videos. Noted. I need how to make a 90-degree cut on a table clamp. All right, so there's that thing. All right. This one is probably too tall. Yeah. All right, we're going to use this. Okay, so this is 90 degrees. Yeah. All right, so this is the adjustable square, right? I just took the blade out. So this to this should be 90 degrees, right? So when you have an adjustable table or you're trying to find your angle, what you want to do is so you take your stuff and you line it up. Don't touch the teeth because the teeth spread out, right? One goes to the left, one goes to the right, all right? But the blade is straight. So you go right behind the teeth and see if you're square. If you're not square, then adjust your table to make it square. And then I don't have this table I don't think has the gauge that has the pointer on it. No. This table, you just put it to whatever angle you want. But on yours, you have that little pointer down here. So you get it set up to square, right? Table to blade. Get that set up to square and then adjust your pointer so that it points at the 0 mark or the 90-degree mark, whatever it is. And then you can check it to 45, right? So you set your table to 45 degrees. This is 45 degrees. So is that, right? So then you can set your table to 45 degrees, and it's usually going to tilt this way, right? It's going to tilt away from the throat. And you check that. Make sure that's on. If those two are on, odds are pretty good that all the rest of your indicators are going to be accurate or accurate enough. Does that all make sense? All right, I'll do that. I will. I'll make a video. It won't be an all-inclusive video because I know there's stuff that I do differently, just because it works for me and I'm stubborn. Yeah, so I got this one from Lowe's, right? It's just a metal one. You can get plastic ones. You can get plastic ones from like Walmart. In fact, you can probably even get metal ones from Walmart now. But what I do when I do at Lowe's, I don't know if I trust the plastic. But what I do at Lowe's is I take this piece and I'll get a square, right? Usually a metal square. And I'll butt it up against, I'll lay it on the shelf, okay? It has this little shelf down here. Lay it on the shelf and run it up so that I can see the gap across the top. Right? If that gap is the same, or I can run it up and it's flush all the way across, and you can do it both ways. You can test it this way, right? If that gap is straight across, then I know that these two things are square to each other. All right. Now, does that mean that the square is 90 degrees? Absolutely not. It does not mean that. But it means this and this are the same. Harbor Freight has metal ones. Nice. Now, what you can do for a square, right, is you can take a square and a piece of wood, okay, and you can a pencil around here somewhere. All right. So you take something with a known straight edge, like a piece of plywood, right? A piece of plywood, the factory edge should be square. So you butt the square up against the plywood, right? You get it nice and flat against there. Draw a line, okay? And then you take your square and you flip it and you come off that line just a little bit. Doesn't have to be a lot. You just want to have a little bit of space. You draw another line. Now, if this edge is square and this is square, those two lines will be the exact same distance apart the whole way across. Now, this one is not square because I didn't use a factory edge, right? In fact, I can see that it's not square. I can see that the edge isn't straight. All right. But ideally, you would do this laying down or laying the square down, draw a line, flip it, draw another line. And those two lines, you should be able to draw a line on top of it, one on top of the other, or right next to each other and have zero gap or the same gap from front to back. Now, woodworking, I don't care what anybody says. You're not building watches, right? You don't need things down to the micron, right? 64th of an inch, something like that would be way better than anything I need to work with, right? A lot of that other detail you can take care of in the assembly process. You don't need to cut a perfect thing all the time. Now, sometimes you do, if you're trying to do a 90 and you're cutting, like that every time, that's much, right? But if you're at like 89 degrees, 91 degrees, for the most part, that's good enough, right? Another thing you can do is even like on a piece of plywood, okay? So you're buying this from Lowe's, Home Depot, whatever. They got plywood a couple of rows over. Go over there, find a piece of plywood that's got a nice square edge. It hasn't been beat up, right? So it looks like that. Then just lay the square on top. You don't even need a pencil. Lay it on top and lay your square right up to it. right? And then look at that edge. You know, you can drop it down so that it's flush, run your finger across it. You'll be able to feel, like I can feel that this edge sticks out. This edge doesn't, right? Now that isn't my square. My square is good. It's not, it's the cut on this. So, because you can get, you know, I don't know, this is a Crescent brand, right? It does this thing I thought was really cool. Turns out this is not square. Like it'll go straight and then drops down just a little bit. And you only really notice it if you're doing it on like a really wide piece and you want these two to meet. So you flip it over and you're drawing across and you'll notice that these two will have a gap. There'll be a gap there. Now that could just be this one. You know, I might have dropped it. I might have done anything with it. You know, could have been a flaw in its build, or it could just be the brand itself. Hey, what's up, kid? How you doing, bud? It's my biggest issue is getting things to be even on both sides. Hey, bass fishing, how you doing, man? Happy St. Patty's Day, Crystal. I need two of them. You know what? I will happily send you a few of those. I'll send you a couple of colors, Alan. What's up, Hack? How you doing, bud? That's just like, so you can get, you know, you go to the store and they've got 800 different squares, probably 12 of these. They've got metal squares, you know, with just that one leg that sticks out, right? Like, oh yeah, that's right, Hinton. That's right. I forgot. I'm sorry. You know, but you don't know if any of them are square, right? Somebody could have picked this up, dropped it on the floor, and fucked it up and put it back on the shelf. And now I come along and go, yeah, I need one of those. Take it. And I'm assuming that it's square. Now, never assume it's square. Always check it. You can check it over in the plywood section. Those corners should be 90 degrees. Now, with the metal ones, I don't know if you can see it, but there's two little tabs in here. One down here and one up here. You see that little tab down there? That is so that you can fine-tune this. Let's say it's not perfectly square. You know, that front little tab is up just a nudge, throwing it off. You take a little file, you stick it in there, take a little swipe off of it, recheck it, and keep doing that until you got it dialed in. That you can't, I haven't been able to find that on anything other than a metal one. And I'll be honest with you, as long as I'm about 90 degrees, I'm good. Now, there are some things that you need to be better, right? Some things you need your joints to be perfect. And, you know, those things take a little extra work. But you're also not slapping them together in 5 minutes, you know? Make 2 videos in one. We'll call that a freebie. There was only a handful of you guys in here to see it. Now everybody knows my secret. Short number 3. About a 45-degree jig for a clamp? No. In fact, I could probably cut some for you on the laser. Really, I don't know what exactly you're trying to clamp, but you can buy all kinds of things. Like a perfect doesn't move handsaw. Well, so you can get a better version of this that it'll have like little like split washers. So you adjust it to fit. You know, you put the screw down a little bit and it opens the washer up and it fits tight in the slot. And then that's what this is for. It's for doing angles. You got from 30 to 90, and then from 90 to 30 again. Oh, I got you. Is that something you can't do with this? Like, so other lesser known thing, I guess, is these little notches, or some of them have holes through. Those are for attaching a board to this. You attach a board to it, so you no longer have just this fence. You can have, a 2-foot long fence. Hey, Rick, how you doing, bud? Oh, I had a pencil laying right here the whole time. So with this, if you want to do a 45 with this, right? So the blade runs here, right? So if you turn this thing to 45, you're going to cut that side at a 45. So if your piece of wood is sitting here, this part here will be at a 45-degree angle, right? If you put it this way, it'll be 45 degrees, right? So this is 90. We'll say that's 45, and it's going to cut right through here. Hand saws are great. You can buy one of these little things from Harbor Freight. This little Harbor Freight pull saw. I don't want to say it's a Japanese pull saw because it's probably made in, I don't know, Taiwan or something. Afghanistan. I don't know. But these little things are, you got those ones? Yeah. Yeah, these things are great. They're super cheap, and if I mess it up, I just throw it away and get a new one. I don't have to worry about recutting the teeth on my, $100 Japanese saw. They also make a thing called a miter box, right? So you can find, I've seen them at Walmart even. It's a plastic or a metal tray with different slots in it. So you might have like a 90-degree slot, you might have a 45 going both ways. And it's just, it looks like this, right? Well, looks like that, right? And the slot is through the uprights. So you lay your piece in there, and you take the saw that came with it, usually, and it'll fit in that slot. And it'll get you close. It'll get you close. And then everything else you can do, with touch-up work. Or you can just buy a better... If you can make a miter gauge work, you can just buy a better miter gauge. One that has adjustable, like, little split washers in it. Should have at least 2 of them. So then you can fine tune it to the gap of your slot, and you're getting a true angle with that. Also, get yourself some wax and rub it on the table of that saw. Now that saw has an aluminum table. It's not cast iron. So it's not going to rust. But if you rub wax on it, and it doesn't have to be anything fancy. If you get those blocks of wax you can buy in like the food section, people put it in like candy and stuff. You can take one of those and just rub it on your saw or on the table, and then polish it off. Right? You want to wipe off the excess, and that'll make your table slick. It'll help things slide. And aluminum is soft, so there's quite a few times, like if you look at my jointer over here, if I remember, I'll show you guys later. Yeah, it slides. So the saw will slide in the track that you pick on the little like plastic or metal tray. But my jointer over here has an aluminum bed, And when I'm running some particularly hard wood across it, and I'm doing a lot of it, you can see I start to tear up the aluminum. You won't do that on cast iron. Like took the frogs and ran. But aluminum beds are a lot easier to take care of. Cast iron will rust and pit if you don't maintain it. Like this one is a cast iron bed. This is a cast iron table, and you can see here there's some there's discoloration here and here. It wasn't well cared for at some point in its life. Like you can feel that in it. Now I will go after it with probably some steel wool, and then I'll wax it. Yeah, there's a lot of table saws that are the same way too. Some of the like the higher end table saws, like this little job site DeWalt I have, that has an aluminum table. But a cast iron table is stronger, it's heavier. You just have to maintain it. And a lot of people on Marketplace, they don't maintain it. You know, it's something that's been sitting outside for 25 years, and they go, "Ha, know what I got? Here's my saw," and it's just rust. Yeah, don't buy that unless you're looking for a project. If you want to restore one, you know, that's a great way to go. But there's a guy, he had a 13-inch wide jointer that I was really considering buying, and it had a 6-foot in feed and a 6-foot out feed. So the overall length of this thing is 12 feet, and it stands on the floor. And it was out back behind his garage, sitting out there on a pallet. And I got some better pictures of it than what he put on Marketplace, and it was not going to be worth my time. I would have had to take the tables off, take them to the machine shop, have somebody flatten them, and it was in bad shape. And he wanted like, I want to say he wanted like $400 for it. But somebody will buy it because they want to refab it and have that old piece of machinery. But if you take care of it, yeah, it's probably still there. But if you take care of it and you don't let it get there, you'll make a hell of a lot more from a lot more people if you're going to resell it. But there's a lot of people out there that like to do that. You know, there's a couple of guys that I see on YouTube that I think all of their shop equipment was bought that way. And they just, every time they needed a new piece or they found a new piece, they would rehab it and then use it, and is just a mark of pride for them, I guess, because it's definitely not cheaper. Dishes are done. Nice. Yeah, there's definitely. I mean, I'm sure there's room for flipping them. Where do I buy my wood? I have a couple of local sawmills that I buy from, and I can get everything but exotics. Exotics being things like Purple Heart, Wenge, things like that. And those things, there is a mill a couple of towns over that does like specialty woodwork stuff for, like, I don't know, flooring, the wall trim, all kinds of stuff. They will get that stuff, and I can buy it from them at a premium. Or if I only need little pieces of it, I'll buy it online at like wood. Damn, I can't remember the names of it. There's a lot of different online places to buy it. I would look at a couple of YouTube reviews for different mail order places, though. Some are definitely better than others. Some might be more expensive per board foot, but you get a better product. You know, usually you might, if you order 4 pieces of white oak and you need a certain number of board foot, when you get those 4 pieces, the grain might actually match. The coloring might actually match. Other places you got one's dark, one's light, one's blotchy. You know, there's you go. There's your 4 boards. Hope you didn't want to make a table out of it. Home Depot, I will buy from Home Depot if I absolutely have to. Home Depot and Lowe's. If I, you know, it's Sunday and I need one more piece of oak or one more piece of, I don't even know what the hell they have there. Well, oak. They have red oak. If I need one more piece of red oak, then I'll go to Home Depot or Lowe's, you know, because my lumber yard's not open. If it's something that can wait, I'd rather go to the lumber yard. You pay a lot more at Home Depot and Lowe's, but it's usually surfaced 4 sides. If you're buying the actual lumber, not the construction lumber, it'll be surfaced on all 4 sides. So you'll have 2 straight edges, and both faces will be flat and parallel. And a lot of times you can get away with just building out of that. You know, you can just, those pieces are ready to go. You cut them down to whatever size you need and build with it. You're good to go. I like to get my lumber up here. It's all rough cut. So I do all the milling, and I'm responsible then from step 1 to the end. Now, if you're buying construction lumber for stuff, I'll admit, construction lumber, there's nothing wrong with it. Yellow pine is almost as hard as cherry. And I build a lot of things out of yellow pine. Now, if you're just using white wood, white pine, it's like usually a mix of softer woods. You know, it's probably not going to be dent resistant, but I do like the way some pine looks. I've made cabinetry with pine doors, right? Because I wanted the way that the pine looked, and there was no other wood that I could use to get that look. Now, they're not the strongest thing in the world. They will dent easy, they'll scratch, but they're cabinet doors, you know? In fact, my coffee table inside my house right now is a pine wood top. Yeah, that's also true, Jeffrey. If you're buying, your pine is not like it used to be. Old growth pine is way better. Also, Turner, I made a fishing lure. Lumber from the big box, different dimensions and knotted. Hey, I could probably put a hook on that and catch something. There's something out there that'll want. I mean, I should probably cut it in half, but maybe sand it a little bit. Yeah, if you're buying dimensional lumber from the store, you know, the construction lumber, you definitely have to be picky. Yeah, I don't have the knives, but I've got everything else. I've got chisels. I'll just chisel them. I mean, I've got pocket knives. I don't know if I have. I've got X-Acto knives. I don't know if I have any carving knives. I do have an old buck knife, pocket knife. Looks better than Turner's. But that's it. So here's how the shop looks so far. A lot of you guys will know that all that stuff that was over here is gone. Lumber's up on the back wall. Half the cedar's up back there. I didn't do anything down here yet. That's a bunch of bullshit over there. Yeah, we're getting there. All right, guys. Anything else you want to shoot the breeze about, or I'm gonna head off, and it's almost 8 o'clock, so it's about time for Turner to click that play button. I just have some computer work to do tonight. Yeah, no problem. I'll add a little tutorial video and stuff like that to my list. That should be a fairly easy video to make. Appreciate you guys all popping in. Thank you. I hope you guys learned something. And if you didn't learn anything, whatever. Don't cut a thumb off. All right, guys. Have a good night.